The Republicans, like I said at the top of the show, we're 13 days away from the midterms. In many places, you can vote early. And if you have any sense that you're going to be out of town, get your absentee ballots in. As you know, I vote up in the 19th district in New York. This is where Antonio Delgado is running against Faso. My understanding, brief conversation with a Democratic election official up there, a lot of absentee ballots, which is a very good sign. But there's very high numbers for early voting. Republicans are coming out. I mean, keep in mind that on some of these special elections, we saw Republicans come out in higher numbers than they normally do, as well as Democrats. Democrats just came out with a little bit more higher numbers. So voting is going to be key. They have been activated in many respects by anti-immigrant policies. I mean, right now you see there's a reason why Donald Trump is talking about this caravan, and we'll talk about it, of Central American, essentially families, crossing through Mexico at this time with the hopes of getting into this country, maybe even some hopes of getting asylum in Mexico as well. But here is Donald Trump at a rally. Where was this rally last night? Houston. This is in Houston. Very well attended, is my understanding. This is the one where I think Ted Cruz went and did the sort of simian thing where he held his hand out like this, and but
bowed down to Trump.
Here's Donald Trump. Listen, you can't go up in front of a national audience and say, "Hey, we're going to put it to the Jews," but you can do this.
Radical Democrats want to turn back the clock toward the rule of corrupt, power-hungry globalists. You know what a globalist is, right? You know what a globalist is. A globalist is a person that wants the globe to do well, frankly, not caring about our country so much. And you know what? We can't have that. You know, they have a word. It sort of became old-fashioned. It's called a nationalist. And I say, really, we're not supposed to use that word. You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist. Nationalist. Nothing else. Use that word. Use that word.
Now, I mean, Donald Trump, it's unclear to me that there are any policies that he's pursued that have been, ones that you could call nationalist. I mean, Donald Trump is, for the most part, I would say...
He's got the tariffs, right?
What I was going to say, for the most part, functioning as a typical Republican. With the two exceptions of, one, his foreign policy is slightly differently aligned, probably more tracking his own investments, like literally his own personal investments in some fashion. And then the other one is the tariffs. Now, the tariffs, I don't know how you would call that a nationalist policy. It is hurting American businesses. And there are some American businesses it's helping. There are a couple of massive steel conglomerates who are coincidentally also big supporters of his, that it is helping. But farmers are suffering under the retaliation on those tariffs. You have Chrysler going to be laying off a significant percentage of its employees because of the tariffs. And
well, they're nationalists. Just because they don't work that well doesn't mean they're not nationalist in their orientation.
well, like I say, aside from those policies, they're nationalist. But if there's other policies you can find that are nationalist, I'd be open to it. But he's
he's essentially a neoliberal still.
yes.
The right wing of neoliberalism.
Yeah, like I say, typical Republican policies. And
He is a Republican. That's why he's the leader of the Republican Party. That's why he's enormously popular with Republicans, and that's why he's the same as
Yes.
congressional Republicans.
But the point is that he's just a liar. And so, I mean, he calls himself a nationalist not because it's aligned with any type of policy prescriptions, as much as it is one in which it's easier to embrace that than to say, like, we're going to really stick it to the brown people. And
Read between the lines.
yes. You know who else was a nationalist? But
I'm a nationalist, okay? People
mean-
don't like the word.
And regular people, Republicans, have been so trained to think like, well, not all nationalism is bad just because liberals are going to freak out in the negative against it, right?
well, and also, like, we know how globalists have been used by the right, right? I mean, it means one thing for the left, and it means another thing for the right. In
It
many
doesn't just mean Jews, though.
Well, like I say, it means one.
globalization is a real thing.
What I said was it means one thing for the right and another thing for the left. Do you disagree with that?
I think it means what it means, no?
Well,
There's like a dog whistle element to it, certainly.
Thank you.
There's
That's
an
my point.
anti-Semitic element. I think some of it is what we would call structural anti-Semitism, which is not like literal hatred of Jews, but this more esoteric thing that Moshe Postone wrote about, where Jews came to represent the hidden parts of capital, which was why National Socialists, quote unquote.
so let me ask you
Nazis-
this. When he uses it, what do you think he means?
I think he's talking about economic nationalism.
He means it in the esoteric sense, where Jews become a performative machinery of capitalism, Samantha. So, in
Okay.
other words, the Jew.
All right.
becomes
Well,
the
we
capital.
will agree to disagree on this.
Can you
I
snap
think
third
that-
love bras off with one finger?
I think when Donald Trump uses the term globalist, he is trying to trigger in the right-wing lizard brain the way that it's used in right-wing circles, which is to mean a cabal of people who are trying, in the same way that the John Birch Society has used it, the 100-year tradition, 75-year tradition that has been used on the right to imply that there is a cabal with Jews and Jew-friendly people and who are trying to create a one-world government that is going to. It's part of the reason why the UN is a problem, part of the reason why all multicultural politics are a problem. I mean, I think that's what it signifies. Now, it's possible there are people who have a more nuanced take on that when they hear Donald Trump and they're cheering for him. That's possible because anything's possible. And maybe I'm talking too broad of a thing, but that is pretty much what I'm convinced that he's trying to do there. I don't think it's a coincidence that he's introducing this concept at a time where he's also saying that there are hordes of brown people who are coming to invade this country. I don't think that's a coincidence. Some
yeah.
people might think it's a coincidence.
I think he's talking about the immigrants more than he's talking about Jews.
Thank you. Okay. And who do you think they have said paid for that immigrant throng? A big Jew who just had a bomb put in his mailbox. So I think
Typical
he knows.
left.
Right.
Smearing the right.
I think, I mean, you could, I'm not sure what.
Trump is discussing symbolic categories, and you're smearing him.
Yeah,
Samantha.
I guess so. Is that the argument? Do you think I'm smearing? Do you think I'm maligning Donald Trump by saying this stuff?
No.
Okay.
Globe emoji, globe emoji, globe emoji.
Exactly.
I'm just saying it has two meanings.
Well, that's what I meant when I said it has one meaning on the right and one meaning on the left.
Well, wait. I'm going to get a little pedantic here. I'm sorry. it has critiques of globalization have two meanings. Nobody on the left says globalist. Globalist is a right-wing term.
Yeah, sure.